Hi everyone, welcome along to part 23 of making this little Miss engine. I've scrapped the part 22, I think some of part 21 making that governor. I've scrapped it. I was never happy with it, and I was always trying to work out a better way of making a governor that I'd thought of. That's the only reason really. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the one that I've made, although I were struggling to work out how it could spread. So I've scrapped it, this idea with the two fingers that levered in and out. That came from a drawing that somebody else had designed, and I think quite a few people use that design. For that reason I wasn't that happy really. I wanted to work something out myself. I think I've come up with an idea that might just work. So let's dive into it and see if it does. I don't know how far I'll get into it. I'm trying not to make the videos too long, but they always end up being over half an hour, and I'm trying to make them under half an hour. But we're back straight on, and let's see how far we get. Well, hi everyone. Right, as you probably know if you've seen previous episodes of me doing this hit and miss engine, and this is part 23 I believe. This idea of this governor is not my idea. It's pinched from some drawings, and I've just sort of hashed my own design of that drawing. I was never happy with that really. You know, I wanted to come up with something that I'd never seen before. So tonight I've come in the garage. Was supposed to be going out with friends to local motorbikers coffee bar, but it got put off, so I come in here, put my heater on, brought a cup of coffee in and sat down and put a blank sheet of paper on the table and started drawing what else I could do, because this is not going to work very well with my flywheels. And this idea of spreading a pair of bars out to make it pull on that yoke, to pull, what do I call that yoke, that spool, backwards and forwards. I'm going to remake it. I'm going to throw these away. I won't put them in naughty bin, because really it's not naughty, it was going to work eventually. But I've come up with an idea that I think might work, and it's a mixture of all the things I wanted to put in it originally. I'm not going to divulge that just yet, but I'm going to start, and I'm going to throw these to one side, which we shall do, and this spool I'm going to remake. Now, I know I need for the fork that pulls backwards and forwards and latches the valve in and out. That goes on the rear of that spool, which is that side there. And I put a little bit of oversize on that so that it could rock a little bit, which it does, and it works. That ain't a problem. So, this spool now, hang on, let's put everything down. The thing I'm going to make, and it might not work, this is just a trial, is this spool here, this groove I won't need, I'll only need the back one. So I'm going to remake it out of some scrap brass here that I've got. It's a bit that I was practicing knurling on some time ago. And I'm going to remake this spool, but I'm only going to put the rear groove in. I'm not going to put that front groove in, because I need more meat for what I'm going to do. So that's what I'm on with, remaking that. Right, so we've got a shuttle. With just one groove in now, as opposed to the one with two. And I've made it a larger diameter so that I can get, as I said, that's an M4 brass rod and it's got threads on end, M4, and I want to screw it into there. And I've got a lot more room to do that now. That looks awfully like phosphor bronze to me. You tell the difference? That's got more of a goldy colour. So I'll just move camera over. I've been doing some more scribbly drawings of what I'm up to, what I'm aiming at. So I started doodling here. That's my flywheel. And then I started doodling some more. And that looks like something from a laboratory, doesn't it? It's spark shooting across, but that's actually some sort of spring. So instead of doing the levers on the inside, I'm going to do it on the outside, so that instead of flaring out our levers, we're going to push-pull them. And I'm going to bore that once I've turned it down to these sizes. I'm going to bore it, put 2 holes through, and there'll be that brass rod that'll slide in and out. Now bear in mind that this crankshaft will be rotating with everything else, because it's all going to be one, including that. So everything, the flywheel, everything's spinning round together. So technically the 2 rods are static as such within their own little environment. So there shouldn't be a problem with them sliding in and out. And then the leverage idea, I'm going to do something like this on the outside. I've got to be careful because I can't encroach across there, because there's a nut on the centre. And of course then once all that's done, I've got to bore that brass to go in there, and go in there very tight, or run a milling cutter down between that and the bore of that, the edge of that, and pin it. If I could rely on getting a thread in there with that pressed in, I would, but I don't think an HSS tap would tap this metal. I think it'd snap it, because that is so hard you've all on to file it. Well, it don't file. And on a cutter I could cut it with the carbide. So that's what I'm up to. So I'm going to take this over to the lathe. This is all my new idea, and whether it's going to work or not I don't know. I've never seen it done like this before, and I just thought it up. I came in, started with my little pencil, and that's what we came up with. I mean, at first I was looking at paddles that sort of swung out, but then I thought I always wanted to have like the ball idea. I love the governor with the balls that swing out, you know, like the old record players had many years ago for speed control. And that it's not a million miles away from it that there will be 2 balls. What size, I ain't got a clue, and they're going to be on the outside of that flywheel. So, you know, could be, you could say it'd be a bit dangerous, but I'm sure these little farm boys were in the day. You could have stuck your hand in anywhere, couldn't you? Also, John's workshop. John said why don't you put the flywheel on the other side? And he'd obviously not seen my previous videos, knowing that I'd actually made a flywheel for the other side. So there's two, but I still think that it's possible that these are too heavy. And I'm still working out how I'm going to make a spark. Now, I think it's around £60. Andrew Whale told me. I think Rexel do one at some model engineering thing. Electronic box, you put batteries in it. But again, I've got this, and it keyways onto this shaft. And this is the original flywheel come cooling fan, and it's got the magnets there to take the coil, which is there. That's the coils that run, and they pick up from that as it goes round and induces a voltage. And I've still got the little Woodruff key for there, so I might not put there's a bit of weight to that. I was thinking of machining that out of it and fitting just that middle bit, but then I put it on and I thought, well, you know what, like a little water wheel, isn't it? It don't look daft. So that might end up on there instead of the other flywheel. It'd mean it'd be heavier on this side than that, but I don't know if that would matter in these proper hit and miss engines in the use in the day. They were huge, and they'd have a belt pulley on one side driving a machine. So that you couldn't say that one equal pull on each side, is it? Because it had a drive on one side. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm chattering away. I'm going over to the lathe. I'm going to slow this heater down now because it's starting to cook meat, getting a bit warm. What are we up to? Oh yeah, 19.2. Yeah, I can slow everything down now, and we'll come back shortly. You might see me do this a few times, just dabbing it with end up to drill. I always think it helps get dead centre. Probably just me. Right, this doesn't matter about drilling and centering this, because it's got to have a hole bored all the way down it eventually. Of what it 10mm, I believe, and ringed. So that should do for that centre. Right, it's about time I took some metal off then. What I'm going to use for taking metal off with, I better use this one. Save me twiddling. Right, we're creeping up now, so I need to do another half a dial, I believe. I'm going to start hitting stuff again. Oh well, fits perfectly on the shaft. Not that that matters, because it's going to be clamped tight to it anyway. It's going to rotate together. .45. I might leave it at that for now. That's going to want more take it on. That's quite warm. It'll shrink a bit when it cools. Probably a quarter of a thou. Yeah, I think I might leave it like that for now. I'll see if I can get a better tool as well. Probably HSS would be better for that. But yeah, I mean, I can safely take that out of there and put it back in. Now, I left 15mm on it extra, but I still don't know how I'm going to create the detail on the end to carry those two ball things that are going to spin out for the governor. And they've got to spin out and pull the plungers out, which would have to be cut into here, some slots or something. Yeah, I can see some slots in there. Don't know, have to have a think and get a pencil in my hand and have a doodle. But okay, we've done a bit more anyway. Can't try that in because it's got a set on it. Just file that bird off. Lovely. So they're just going to want a short thread on them. I'm not sure whether to use brass or whether to get some 4mm steel, either stainless or mild steel. I just think it might have a more shear, although technically it shouldn't have any pressure on it, but if it ever snarls up a little bit it could shear them off. Was to drill and tap them so they'd be there and they'd swing out, and as they swing out they pull up, so I'd need to make some sort of a fixture on end, maybe something that'd go around there with some sort of bracketry on. Ball bearings, think, well, you can't drill them, but you can. You grind a little flat on them so you can get your drill to it, and then you get these red hot and it softens them apparently. So I'm led to believe suffice that you can drill and tap them. If not, I could make them out of brass, doesn't matter. It was just something I had in the drawer, that were all. So that's how far we've got. Yeah, so what I've got is a bit of scrap brass tube, hollow tube. I've cleaned one end up and I've just faced that off. I'll just clean this up so I can blow it up and I can put it in mill. So what am I making? Very similar idea to what we did with that yoke. It's going to be a yoke similar to that is going to fix to this round here. This needs cutting off, yeah, it's too long, and it also needs cleaning up a bit, but not too much because it's got to fit tight in that flywheel. But it's going to be a yoke that'll fit around here, and I'll probably drill and tap into this and screw the yoke on so that it's a fixture that it can't slip. I was going to make it a clamp, but then if it ever slipped it'd knock everything up, it'd cock everything up. So yeah, that is going to fit once it's bored and that's cleaned up, and we know we've got our sizes, and that'll go over, that'll be inside that. So I've got to cut quite a bit off this. Stood for years. What's this? Right, that's a 6mm 3-flute carbide cutter, fairly newish one, a good Swiss Tech make, and I've zeroed with my edge finder 4 times, so that is the absolute dead centre of the piece of work. I've clamped it using a V-block on a parallel, so we should be perfectly vertical and perfectly parallel. I've had my little level box on, excuse me, put my level box on and it shows it at 89.99 or something. So yeah, we're at 90 degrees to the table. Okay, so I need to go to a depth of 6mm. So I'm going to cut 6mm deep. One yoke done. Some deburring to do on there. A little bit of feckling, but I think that'll do it. So, as we're sort of showing you that original one, it's not that much different, is it, other than just being a lot bigger. And it'll have pinholes through. It doesn't need to be slotted. Slightly so the fingers could rock on it, although we're only talking about a very small amount. between engaged and disengaged is very, very little. Look, it rotates, which is what it's meant to do, although rotating it's not meant to do as in like that, because that's going to be fastened to that shaft underneath it and the whole thing's going to rotate, so that'll spin round, which will be throwing the weights out. You see the idea now, where they'd be out here somewhere relative to that would be, they'd be like there. It could be nearly touching, it could be out here, depends how crank to make the fingers. And then drill and a little pin and a spring at the top. Or maybe one at the top and one at the bottom, who knows. We've come a long way though with that. I was never happy with that other idea with these fingers, and as I said, it wasn't my idea, it was just something I copied. This is my idea, which I'm much happier about, because it's something I've sort of worked out myself. I don't care how long it takes, but if you've worked it out yourself, you feel more chuffed, don't you, when you've done it. So, I think we're going to be on a winner. I'll pull that off now, look. You can see I've slightly slackened those screws, which obviously once I Loctited in there, they can't be like that. So, does that beg the question that I drill these out slightly from 4mm to give them some clearance? I don't know. 4.25. If I can find an Imperial that'd equal that, because I ain't got a 4.25, I've either got 4 or 4.5, although I have got lots of drills loose, so I suppose I could go through them all and see if I could find something that were over 4mm but under 4.5. I might do that. So what have we done so far? We've made the cone, that's got to be cut down so it fits on there, and that'll be permanently fixed to that once I've done that. We've altered this spool. Well, we haven't, we've made a new one, haven't we? And drilled it and fitted 2 pieces of M4 stainless rod. Made an extension, made a left hand nut because I bought a tap and a die. So we've come a long way, but there's still a long way to go, but I'm quite happy with what we've got so far with this new idea. What do you think, guys? Do you think the old idea were better or this one? Let me know in comments, see what you reckon. I might actually stitch this up now and publish it. There's probably enough to show. I sometimes wonder if I'm doing too much in each edition, and I know I'm slow between them because of that much other stuff going on with this TVR and that I'm trying to do as much as I can on this when I can. But it doesn't matter, does it? I always reckoned it'd take like a year or more to make, because of how fast I work and that I'm always doing something else. In good weather I'm out on motorbike quite a bit, so tell me what you think so far. As I say, it won't stick out that far because we've got, which means that this brass, I'm going to be cut well, probably back here somewhere, so there's quite a lot to come off this. And all I've got to do is make sure that I can get a washer and a nut on here somehow without encroaching in these 2 rods and whatever fastens to them, which tells me it's possibly that I might need to have the rods sticking out further and this device a little bit further out, so the nut would be further recessed. Don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be a nut like that. It could be something I could make that is not like a nut I don't know, something with 2 pins in that I could turn and lock. But yeah, because there ain't enough room actually to get a nut in there and turn it. Just at that. So there's a little issue there. And they're all things to overcome, aren't they? Thanks for watching so far. Give us a thumbs up and a like, please. Alright guys, this is a 0.01 millimetre per increment dial gauge. This is my crankshaft out of my little engine. My friend lent me these, the proper knife edges for doing crankshafts, and this is the best. After about 2 hours of knocking it about with a copper mallet, this is the best I can get. I'm on 0 there. Oh, sorry, I'm having to press crank into V's while I do it. 0.02, the best I can get. 0.02 of a millimetre, which is 0.78 I believe of a thou. 0.787 of a thou. Now best I got it in lathe were 2.5 thou, but knocking this about I've had it out as far as like 2 full bar, no, nearly 3 full increments on there. But I don't think that's bad. 0.02, I don't think that's bad at all, so I'm going to settle for that. Just thought I'd show it, because I've taken the remove crank back out because I wasn't happy that it was going to be a little bit too far out. Well, I'm quite pleased with how that turned out. Better than I thought. I was thinking there were all sorts of little snags that might come into it. Apart from it being a little tight, and we might having to possibly open those holes out on this barrel so that these rods can slide in easier, because they're just a perfect fit as such, being 4mm and a 4mm hole. So just a slight increase on that might make it a lot easier to operate, because I don't want the thing jamming up. Very happy with that, how it turned out. So on to next part, which will be to make the tube fit and cut the collar to the size, make some fingers that will work on some ball bearings. There might not be ball bearings that I make, there might end up being some brass balls that I'll turn. I've got a ball turning device that you've probably all seen that I made. I'm going to set that up on there with a little mandrel. I'd have to probably make one because they want to be on a small thread, possibly 4 maybe. Yeah, I don't know yet, we'll see. But on to that part when we get to it. So that was part 23. Thank you for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it. If you don't subscribe to my channel, consider it. At least you'll get to know the next time I post something. I know some people think that you have to pay to subscribe to a channel. You don't. It's free. You could subscribe to 5,000 channels if you want. It doesn't matter. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.